laps. He lines up now. A big field of 16 runners spread over the 2 echelons. And obviously to watch there is Kipchoge. 2 Olympic medals, 2 World Championship medals, all before his 21st birthday. There's Bekele. Always looks relaxed. If anything, I would say that this is probably his weakest event if he's got one, Rob.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Steve, but to be honest, he made the 10,000 look easy. But this man, Bernard Lagat, he came here as the double defending champion over 1,500 and the 5,000, got the bronze in the 15, and he'll want to hang on to this crown. But it is about Bekele, although, Steve, you made an interesting point just a moment or two ago before we started talking about it. If it's a slow pace, other guys come into the action because Lagat's still got the speed as Bekele gets introduced there. Big rule.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got beaten by El Garouge in that wonderful Olympic final, didn't he, in a slow race. It might happen as Mo Farah of Great Britain, one of the big hopes for Great Britain in this race. And here's you get Kipchoge. Now, Kipchoge chased him all the way home in Rome, just a couple of tenths of a second behind the big man. And he's a real class act, this boy. So he is really going to be the one, maybe, of the Kenyans. And there's a good 3 of Kenyans, Abuya, Kipchoge, and Chepkook, who could really threaten the possibility, and I always say it's a possibility, of beating the great man himself.
We've got 6 of the first 7 from 2007. Tegenkamp, we just saw, he was 4th last time.
Very good 3 of the Americans, obviously with Lagat now running for America. He lines up with Tegenkamp and Zielinski also there. So the Americans have done well. They've got 3 men in this final. So, all the preparations over now. The referee just brings them to the stagger.
On your marks.
And they're off. 13.5 laps here of the Olympic Stadium will decide who is the world champion at the 5,000 metres. Bekele looking across to see where the others on the outside are, and Lagat is perhaps going to be the leader as they come across now. The pace dawdling, to say the least. Bekele would enjoy this. He likes to dominate, dictate the pace, and as we all sit in that 10,000 metres, Rob, he is the man to beat over the last 400.
Oh, he's absolutely superb. I think when he won the 5,000 last year at the Olympics, he ran the last mile in something like 3:58 as the 3 Americans tuck in there. That's Zielinski with the long socks. He's on the shoulder of, well, just behind Kenenisa Bekele there. So 3:58 for the last mile when he won the title last year in Beijing. That is not hanging around at all.
Well, I think also in that last mile, he was building up each lap. So the first 2 laps of that mile that he recorded were slow. Then he came home faster and faster. That's where the damage is done. Zielinski just behind him. On the outside, it's Chepkook, the other Kenyan. And you can just see there, Lagat biding his time just behind Tegenkamp, the other very good American, in about 4th or 5th place.
They're coming up to the kilometre point here, 2:54.35, very slow.
Very, very slow indeed. And one disconcerting athlete there, I suppose, is Mo Farah, the Great Britain athlete at the back of the field. I mean, he was thought to be a major contender by the British coaches, but at the moment languishing 2 or 3 metres off the back. But that doesn't mean much really, because Abuya is also there.
No, and Farah's run a 3:33 1,500 metres this year, so I hope it doesn't mean very much. He was actually 6th 2 years ago.
Well, Bekele's just spreading them out a little bit now. Abuya going up onto his shoulder. That was a 65-second lap there. Zielinski, the American with the long white socks, he's in 3rd place. Farah, as you said, off the back at the moment. One other Ethiopian, just to mention, is Ali Abdosh. He's towards the back of the field at the moment, but those of you who watch the heats will remember that Abdosh was knocked over in that and bravely tried to come back in. He didn't qualify automatically, but he was reinstated for the final because it was felt that he was impeded. But Abuya there on the shoulder of Bekele, the Ethiopian at the front. And as you can see there, there are beginning to be a few casualties. Collis Birmingham off the back with Mo Farah. Abdosh, the tiny Ethiopian, trying to stay in contention with that group. And having said they were spreading out, I think maybe Bekele slowed down just a tiny bit. There's Ibuya, the Kenyan, in third. Zielinski in fourth. The Eritrean up on the outside, Medin. 13 there. That's Bernard Lagat, the defending champion, tucked in on the inside.
Also moving through there, Chogi on the outside. There he is. So he's one of the main men, I think, for the Kenyan.
Quickest lap of the race, 61.35, taking us up to the 2 kilometre point in 5:34.17.
So they're obviously now starting to pick it up, aren't they? Bekele looks over his shoulder, the big threat there of Ibuya and Kipchoge. They're not going to lose, and also Chepkut coming up there as well. So it's Ethiopia, then followed by the 3 Kenyans. So the Kenyans now massing at the top of the field, starting to push it on. I think that's Chepkut now coming to the fore. Obviously, I think his teammates told him, actually. They looked across at him and said, come on, move it on. And he's doing that. He's almost a sacrificial lamb here because they really are starting to pick the pace up now.
And Kipchoge in second place there. Bekele back in fifth. I mean, nothing to worry about too much yet, but interesting to see why he's drifted back. And no sooner have I said that than suddenly Bekele decides that he's once again going to take the lead. So Bekele into the lead with Kipchoge, Chepkut and Ibuya, the 3 Kenyans there. Also moving up on the outside is Kipsoro, the Ugandan in the yellow vest.
Well, Zielinski, the American, hasn't really put a foot wrong so far. He's covered most of the breaks in the white socks there in about 5th or 6th. Turgenkamp is behind him, the other American, and Lagat also obviously closing ground now, moving ahead in about 4th. Still on the inside, though. Kawalia in the purple now moving through, the Qatari.
5 laps to go in the 5,000 metres, and it's the 3 kilometre point in 8:14.68. Kenenisa Bekele leading as he has the previous kilometre points, and just one man dropped off the back of this field.
Bekele checking over his shoulder. He can see Eliud Kipchoge alongside him, and now the Kenyan, the classy Kenyan, decides that he once again wants to take the lead. It's cat and mouse here between the leading Kenyans and Kenenisa Bekele.
Mo Farah from Great Britain now starting to come to the fore. He's coming around the outside with the white glasses, so it's good to see that he's still in contention.
And with 4 laps to go, just one man dropped off. That's Medin of Ethiopia, with of Eritrea rather, with Birmingham having some trouble trying to stay in contention at the back, the Australian at the back of the pack.
So Bekele leading with Kipchoge in second, and Kipsoro, the Ugandan, up in third. There's Bernard Lagat making his presence felt there, the defending champion. Got the bronze in the 1,500 metres. He's in 4th place at the moment, and as Steve said, Zielinski, the American with the white socks tucked in, always been in a handy position. 63-second lap there.
Well, he's just doing enough, isn't he? Just keeping everybody at bay at the moment. They're looking around. No one has got the courage yet to tackle the big man. They're going to leave it maybe until a last lap kick again, which is really playing into his hands. But has he still got the leg speed in his legs after that 10,000 metres?
3 laps to go then in this men's 5,000 metres. Kenenisa Bekele, the Olympic champion. He leads, but he's got Kipchoge on his outside, and the Ugandan Kipsoro's in there. Defending champion Bernard Lagat, he's on the right of your screen there. And a little bit of a breakaway beginning to happen now. Tiny gap there to the lead 4, but there are many athletes still in there. And at some stage, Kenenisa Bekele is going to wind it up.
Just 1 kilometre to go, 10:52.22 at 4,000 metres, a 62+ second lap there. It's winding up now, each kilometre getting quicker.
Well, it is getting quicker, but they're not really doing much in terms of destroying this big pack behind him. 3 Americans in there, the Kenyans are in there, and the 2 Ethiopians still hanging on with Abdosh at the back. He's been there all the time so far. Lagat spits into the inside. He's getting himself ready. He knows it's going to be a fast 600 or 400 metres, and he's been in the inside all the way, but he's in the perfect position to cover a break by Bekele.
Maybe the big three beginning to wind it up. Kenenisa Bekele leads. Eliud Kipchoge in second. Bernard Lagat is in third, and Kipsoro is up on the outside. There's one of the Kenyans. He's had to stop to give up. That's Ibuya. He won't get back into it at this stage. Bekele from Kipchoge, from Lagat, from Kipsoro. Still looking relaxed. 61 seconds for that lap. Ibuya's out of it. So Kenenisa Bekele, the Olympic champion, he's got Eliud Kipchoge up on his outside. Bernard Lagat is tucked in on the inside. There's Kipsoro. These four may be the class acts, but look on the outside. The other Kenyan, Chet Cook, is coming, so too Mo Farah. Farah now of Great Britain up onto the shoulder of the Ugandan.
On the inside there, a Spaniard also coming through with 1 lap to go now, and they're all in a mass around this track. 7 or 8 athletes now starting to charge. Bekele trying to hold them off at bay. Kipchoge, the man that run him close in Rome, and Lagat looking very comfortable in third place at the moment, but he's boxed on the inside as Kipsoro comes round.
Bekele fighting off Eliud Kipchoge. It's Kenenisa Bekele, the Olympic champion. He opens up a yard. Bernard Lagat, the defending world champion, is chasing the American. Kenenisa Bekele kicks again. Now he gets a break, but Bernard Lagat on the outside is desperately trying to defend his title. What a superb finish. Bernard Lagat, the defending champion, but he's going to lose out to Kenenisa Bekele. The Olympic champion is the world champion. Lagat settles for the silver, and a brilliant bronze for Chip Karui of Qatar. What a superb race. Lagat gave that absolutely everything, but in the end, Bekele's class once again came to the fore. It's a superb double for the man from Ethiopia, who just does not know how to be beaten in a major championship.
54.72 for Kenenisa Bekele, and you have to, Steve, I think, hand it to a master. He controlled that race all the way. He obviously didn't want a fast race, and he relied on his sprint finish even over a man like Lagat.
Yeah, that was masterful, as you said, really, Peter. He is really a consummate champion. I would have thought, though, that at that sort of pace they would have challenged him a bit more, but really, he had to dig deep, though, he really did, because Lagat came past him with about 60 metres or so and looked like he was going to go away, but then he's dug in again and drew level with Lagat, and Lagat must have thought, no, he's coming back again at me. And at that stage, it almost was a battle of wills, and Bekele really did his best and came through with that marvellous, marvellous double here in the World Championships.
And a fine run by James Kwalia Kipchoge, the former Kenyan, now running for Qatar. But Kenenisa Bekele becomes the first man in World Championship history to win the 5,000 and 10,000 metre double. It's been done in the Olympics. A women's double has been done by Tiranish Dibaba, but never before the men's 5,000 and 10,000 double. And Kenenisa Bekele, of course, is the man to do it.
Peter, I know you've seen many great finishes in World Championship history, but Lagat gave that absolutely everything. Bekele showed real heart there in the last 30 or 40 metres, because the American at one stage looked as though he was going to defend his title.
He was ahead, certainly, at one stage, about 50 metres to go.
Here
Let's
we go.
look at it.
This is the point, really, when I think Bekele comes back at him, and Lagat starts to just fade a little bit, and the little man comes home by just 2 metres or so in the end.
But many would have said this is really set up for Lagat with his 800, 1500 metres pedigree. But nonetheless, Bekele has got such speed and such resilience that he's able to hold him off, rather in the style of course, his mentor, Haile Gebrselassie. And Lagat, of course, a great run again to win.